The air itself was just breaking the cold grip of winter. It was the festival of spring, a moment of, well, profound release across the northern Indian plains. And life, vibrant, chaotic, and gaily clad, was just spilling out.
You see humanity emerging, not just strolling, but practically surging out of the confinement of their homes.
Right?
They're escaping the wintry shades of narrow lanes and alleys, and they're moving in every fashion imaginable. Some are walking, some riding horses.
And others are carried forward in that slow, rhythmic creak of bamboo and bullock carts. You can almost hear it.
Yeah, you really can.
The whole atmosphere is this symphony of movement, of anticipation, and just pure joyous noise. It's the sound of collective relief.
Of freedom earned after a long winter, all of it converging on a single dazzling point.
And right in the heart of this surge, you find this individual point of pure, untamed energy.
A little boy, he's darting, running between his father's legs, and he's absolutely saturated, just brimming over with life and laughter.
This is where our journey begins.
In that moment of innocent, overwhelming joy, a joy that is about to be tested against the hard boundaries of the adult world.
The story takes us from this initial feeling of boundless possibility into a psychological space where, material desire is supreme.
And then it shatters that desire.
It shatters it with the raw, absolute power of primal fear. Our mission today is to track that emotional journey from a simple want for a toy
to the desperate need for a parent.
So the parents, they're practical, they're focused, they're walking this determined path toward the fairgrounds. But the child, he's immersed in the moment, and he's already lagging behind.
His focus isn't on the destination at all.
Not at all.
It's on the immediate magnetic pull of the path itself. Specifically, his gaze is just glued to the small, glittery promises of the shops lining the way.
These manufactured items, the toys, they're the first concrete symbols of desire he encounters.
And they immediately create a friction, don't they, between his own curiosity and the family's trajectory.
You hear the parental voice, a sort of necessary constant in all the chaos, and it cuts through the crowd noise and his internal longing.
Come, child, come. It's a call of impatience, of adherence to his schedule.
The child responds, of course, because at his core, he is obedient. His feet, obedient to their call, start that reluctant journey forward.
But this simple action, this reveals the first key psychological split in the entire story.
Exactly. He's a person moving in two directions at once. His body moves with his parents, but his eyes, the window to his true desire, his wonder, they're still lingering on the receding toys.
That physical tension, it's just a perfect illustration of that lifelong struggle between duty and desire.
As he catches up, the pressure of that desire just becomes too great, despite the cold awareness of what his parents' reaction will be.
A reaction he's probably seen countless times before.
Oh, absolutely. He can't censor this first, most immediate want. It's a moment of pure, hopeful vulnerability. It's a gamble against this ingrained resistance he knows is there.
I want that toy, he pleaded. The words are tentative, almost whispered, carrying the weight of that expected disappointment.
And why is that detail so important?
Because he's asking for something manufactured, something that costs money. In doing so, he's testing the economic boundaries of his family.
And the father's reaction is, well, it's immediate, silent, and severe. It lands like a hammer blow of authority.
The text describes him looking at the child red-eyed, in his familiar tyrant's way.
We have to pause on that word tyrant. This isn't just an annoyed father.
Yeah.
This is a man who imposes his will. Absolutely.
Not through physical force, but through sheer psychological dominance.
Right. That look is a wall. It communicates refusal, not just of the toy, but of the very right to ask for the toy.
It's a commentary on the economic realities of their world, isn't it? Where simple desires might be genuinely unaffordable, or where the father feels this need to strictly control the budget.
And he resorts to psychological intimidation rather than, an explanation. The exuberance of the Spring Festival, the freedom of the crowds, none of that warmth has softened the father's habitual rules or his fiscal stress.
His glare is the immediate consequence of material desire.
But then the mother provides this crucial momentary reprieve. She's characterized as melted by the free spirit of the day.
She seems to understand the child's emotional needs better than the father understands his desires.
Yes, and instead of confronting the father or arguing the child's case, she employs a strategy.
Distraction.
Exactly. She changes the subject, pointing the child's focus away from the manufactured, expensive desires of the marketplace.
And toward the boundless, organic beauty of the natural world, which requires no purchase, No permission.
She extends her finger, a small anchor, and a guide, pulling him physically away from that conflict zone.
The transition in setting is immediate, and it feels very deliberate. We move from the cramped, tense confines of the footpath to this immense open space.
The flowering mustard field, pale like melting gold.
This field is so significant. It's an expanse that sweeps across miles and miles of even land.
It is the mother's deliberate tool. Nature as boundless, unrefused joy, and look at the language, melting gold.
It suggests wealth and value, but a kind of value that's shared freely by the earth.
Unlike the silver and gold leaves on the sweets they're going to encounter later on.
The distraction works instantly. It works because the child is naturally a creature of sensory curiosity.
His focus is pulled to motion and color in the field. Specifically, a group of dragonflies bustling about on their gaudy purple wings.
Like little jewels of motion intercepting the flight of lone bees. He's captivated.
This is pure active freedom. He doesn't need to ask permission to look at the dragonflies.
And he doesn't need money to pursue them.
The pursuit itself requires skill, energy, and engagement elements that are totally lacking in the passive desire for a static toy.
He attempts to capture this ephemeral beauty, running and chasing. He gets close. The feeling of success is almost palpable.
You can see the dragonfly fluttering, flapping up into the air, just as his hands close.
And the joy here isn't in possession.
No.
It's in the chase. It's that momentary feeling of connection with the wild world. He has completely forgotten the expensive, static, denied toy in the shop.
The mother's strategy worked. She successfully substituted a freely available dynamic joy for a costly, static one.
But even the wild golden field has its boundaries. The world of obligation calls him back.
The parents, after all, are on a journey. You hear the familiar structure of his life reasserted. The mother's cautionary call.
Come, child, come on to the footpath.
And the footpath is the symbol of the constrained path they must follow. Its adherence to their shared direction.
It's a constraint placed upon his wandering, imaginative spirit.
He obeys. He runs gaily back toward them, walking alongside them for a short time. But the natural world is just this relentless source of wonder for him.
So he's soon left behind again, drawn by the microcosmos at his feet, the little insects and worms along the footpath that were teeming out from their hiding places to enjoy the sunshine.
The whole journey is just this constant, delightful resistance to the straight line that the parents want to follow.
The next parental call comes as they stop for a rest in the deliberate shade of a grove near a well. And this shift brings a new kind of wonder, one that's tactile and immediate.
As he enters the grove, the story gifts him this unexpected sensory experience. A shower of young flowers fell upon the child. It's a moment of pure cinematic magic, a natural blessing that requires zero effort.
He stops, captivated, and begins to gather these gifts, these raining petals, completely forgetting the command to return to his parents.
The simple, transient beauty of nature, the falling petals, is enough to momentarily erase his trajectory and all his prior obligations. His joy is total, focused only on gathering this fragile loot.
It just shows how quickly the child's attention can shift, doesn't it? And how easily he's enthralled by the next source of wonder.
But then another sound cuts through the silence of the grove.
The gentle, resonant cooing of doves. This new sound immediately captures his attention, illustrating the remarkable fragility of his commitment to any single desire.
He runs toward his parents, shouting the identity of his new fascination.
The dove! The dove!
The movement toward his parents is a consequence of the sound, a desire to share the discovery, rather than an act of pure obedience.
And here is a really profound symbolic moment that just summarizes the child's experience so far.
The raining petals dropped from his forgotten hands.
The desire for the petals is instantly erased by the newer, fresher wonder of the dove. It underscores that for the child, the world is a continuous stream of possibility.
Every new wonder makes the last one instantly obsolete. He abandons one desire for the next, not through parental command this time, but through his own spontaneous shift of focus.
He's gathered up by his parents, running in wild capers round the banyan tree, a final burst of pure, unconstrained family joy.
Before they take the last, narrow, winding footpath, this path leads them out of the innocence of the open fields and into the complexity, the intensity, and the ultimate test of the fair.
So now that we've cracked his steps through the fields and groves, let's just quickly pivot and look at the pattern they're forming.
Right. The child is a creature of pure, immediate curiosity. He's drawn away by the world, whether it's a manufactured toy or a fleeting dragonfly.
And he's constantly pulled back.
Pulled back by the parental command or just the necessity of the journey.
The entire sequence so far is a study in what you could call thwarted will. Every desire he expresses, or even just pursues silently, is met with the knowledge of a potential refusal.
A stern look, or a redirecting command like, "Come, child, come."
This experience is an unspoken curriculum in disappointment. The child is learning that his wants are always secondary to the will of his parents or the financial realities they represent.
He wants the toy, he gets the threat of the father's glare, he gets distracted by the dragonflies.
He gets the mother's call back to the path.
This constant tension shapes his emotional life. The child is beginning to build his desires not on hope, but on the anticipation of limits.
So why does he keep asking? Or why does he keep pursuing these desires if he knows the answer is likely to be no?
Well, he's testing the boundaries, maybe. Perhaps he's addicted to the hope of a different outcome, or maybe he just can't control the surge of curiosity that nature instilled in him.
But every interaction reinforces the fact that the things he desires most are things his world will not grant him easily, if at all.
And it's so important to connect this to the socio-economic context implied by Mulk and Anand. For many families like this one, attending a festival is an expense. It's a rare outing.
So the parent's job is not just guidance, it's economic constraint. The father's tyrant's way might stem from genuine stress over resources.
A simple toy isn't just a toy. It's an unexpected drain on an already tight budget.
Which makes the mother's strategy of using the natural world not just kind, but also financially sensible.
Yes, she's redirecting his desire toward the infinite unowned wealth of the earth. She's offering him joy that has no price tag.
This narrow, winding footpath they're taking now is the psychological transition. It moves them from the simple, unconstrained freedom of the natural world, where flowers fall freely from the trees, to the intense commercial energy of the marketplace of desire.
The conflict is about to intensify dramatically. It's moving from natural curiosity to commercial longing.
As the family nears the village and the actual fairgrounds, the physical movement of the crowd becomes central to the narrative. The footpaths multiply, full of throngs, people joining together from all directions.
Toward a single, terrifying point of concentration.
And this point is immediately defined as the whirlpool of the fair. A whirlpool isn't a gentle flow. It's a sucking, confusing, powerful vortex.
It symbolizes the overwhelming, chaotic nature of the adult world, particularly the world of commerce and consumption. The sensory experience must have been immediate and overwhelming.
Oh, absolutely. Imagine the sounds. The hawker shouting, the horses neighing, the carts creaking, the music blaring.
And the smells. The rich, cloying sweetness of the burfi, the dry earth mixed with animal sweat, and the sharp scent of flowers.
The child's internal reaction is key here. It captures the ambivalence of the whole consumer experience. He doesn't just feel excitement.
No, he feels two things at once. He is repelled and fascinated by the confusion of the world he was entering.
He's sensing the sensory overload, the threat of being lost in the sheer volume of humanity and material goods, yet he is magnetically pulled toward it.
This mixture of repulsion and fascination is the core symbol of the fair. The dazzling promise of the market always comes with the underlying threat of chaos and loss of self.
He enters the market, and the landscape of desire immediately shifts from the fleeting natural wonders to these highly structured commercial temptations designed to extract money and fuel wants.
And the child is now fully immersed, moving through the very entrance. He encounters 4 immediate, distinct material desires, but this time, the pattern shifts.
The parents don't refuse him, not right away. Instead, the child, having learned his lessons well, applies the refusal himself. He preempts the disappointment.
This self-censorship is the most advanced stage of his learned behavior. He knows the rules so well that he doesn't need the spoken no.
He internalizes the refusal based on 4 different categories of parental judgment.
So we encounter the sweetmeat seller first. The counter is overwhelming. An architecture of many-colored sweets, decorated with leaves of silver and gold.
Again, notice the language architecture, silver and gold. The food isn't just sustenance, it's presented as luxury, a monument to consumption.
His mouth waters for his favorite, the burfi. The desire slips out, almost against his own will, a soft sound just swallowed by the loud crowd.
I want that burfi.
It's a momentary lapse of self-control. But the internal voice, the voice of his father's anticipated judgment, is louder than the spoken request. He knew his plea would not be heeded.
And what's the reason for the refusal he anticipates this time?
He knew his parents would say he was greedy.
This is so crucial. The refusal isn't purely economic, it costs too much. It's a moral judgment applied to his desire. It suggests that enjoying something so rich is inherently a character flaw.
By calling him greedy, the parents instill shame in a simple, natural desire for a treat. They use moral discipline to enforce economic restraint.
So before the word no can even be spoken, he absorbs the blow himself, internalizes the shame, and moves on without waiting for an answer. He's protecting himself from the moral accusation.
Next, the sensory appeal shifts to the flower seller's basket. The Gulmohar garland represents beauty, tradition, and transient adornment. The child is irresistibly drawn by the color and the fragrance.
He stands before the basket repeating that soft, almost silent request, "I want that garland."
This desire is less about consumption and more about beauty and participating in the festival spirit.
He pauses, calculates the parental response, and once again he finds the reason for rejection built into his own understanding. This time they would refuse because they would deem the flowers cheap.
This refusal isn't about greed or lack of necessity. It's about social worth and perceived quality. If the garland is cheap, it means it lacks social distinction.
It reveals a layer of class consciousness in the parents, a desire to maintain a certain image, even if they can't afford the finest goods.
So they reject the flowers not because they are financially ruinous, but because they are socially unworthy.
This self-censorship demonstrates his knowledge of his family's social rules. He moves on, once again, without waiting for an answer. He avoids the judgment of being interested in something common or low quality.
Then the sight of the balloons.
Yeah.
It's just pure, unadulterated fantasy. A man holds a pole from which yellow, red, green, and purple spheres are flying, weightless and magnificent.
The source emphasizes the rainbow glory of their silken colors. This is the pinnacle of visual fantasy, representing freedom and imagination.
The desire here isn't for a single item, but an overwhelming desire to possess them all. He wants the entire spectrum of joy, the very essence of colorful, floating freedom suspended in the air.
But the calculated refusal appears immediately in his mind. And the reason is different again.
They would say he was too old to play with such toys.
And this is a developmental judgment. They dismiss his simple, childish joy under the guise of imposing premature maturity.
They want him to transition out of the realm of pure fantasy and into the serious world of adult concerns. The child must move beyond frivolous play.
And he can't argue with being too old. That judgment is unassailable. He accepts the internalized judgment and walked on farther.
The repetition of these internal vetoes, based on moral, social, and developmental critiques, it's just exhausting.
The final desired stop before the climax is the snake charmer. This is a desire based on sound and spectacle, a deep, hypnotic, primal rhythm.
The snake is coiled, its head raised in a graceful bend like the neck of a swan. The music stole into its invisible ears. He's drawn to the performance, the movement, the sound.
It's an immersion into a world outside his family unit. But this time, the internal reason for moving on is a flat prohibition, a social and moral ban.
They had forbidden him to hear such coarse music as the snake charmer played.
And that's social exclusion. The music is coarse. It falls outside the bounds of their acceptable, respectable social life.
By linking the music to a moral prohibition, the parents established the boundary between their controlled, orderly existence and the chaotic, lower caste performance world.
So having anticipated 4 different types of refusal, moral, economic, developmental, and social, the child has essentially navigated the entire fair by himself.
Denying every single whim based on established familial rules. He has become his own warden. He proceeds farther, having successfully contained every single impulse the fair has offered him so far.
He's learned to silence his desires to maintain the fragile peace and adherence to the family unit. He is a master of disappointment, but that self-mastery, it comes at a high psychological cost.
What's so fascinating here is the sheer density of the child's emotional calculation. The wants are intensifying, the rainbow glory, the hypnotic music, but the child's knowledge of his parents' predictable, consistent refusal has grown even faster and more comprehensive.
Right. His entire sequence of actions is dictated by anticipation. He moves on without waiting for an answer 4 times in a row.
This is not just apathy or giving up. It's a sophisticated self-protective maneuver. He understands the emotional economy of their relationship perfectly.
He knows that the pain of the spoken no, especially when it's tied to a moral or social judgment, greedy, too old, coarse, is greater than the quiet internal disappointment of just denying himself the object.
He trades confrontation for silence. He internalizes the refusal to shield himself from the authorities' blunt force.
That's a heavy burden for a child to carry. His emotional world is built on a foundation of limits, expectations of failure, and self-denial. He knows the rules, His wants are expendable and the family unit is primary.
He is performing the role of the obedient son flawlessly.
And if we look at this through a psychological lens, the child is essentially sacrificing his personal desires, his id, you could say, to satisfy the rigid demands of the parental superego.
Right, to ensure the stability of the ego, the family unit.
And this self-imposed discipline sets the stage perfectly for the climax. Because despite all this self-control, all this internalized discipline, there is one attraction that is too powerful, too exhilarating, too tempting to suppress.
He cannot internalize this last refusal. He must ask.
The energy of the fair is about to demand that he make one final bold question, one request that breaks through all his established patterns of self-censorship.
The atmosphere becomes physically overwhelming. The child reaches the epicenter of the fair's kinetic energy, the roundabout. It's described as being in full swing, a metaphor for life at its most chaotic and exhilarating.
The sound is intoxicating. It's a mix of sheer physical release and excitement. Men, women, and children are carried away in a whirling motion, and they are shrieking and crying with dizzy laughter.
This attraction embodies the complete temporary surrender to joy and exhilaration that has been entirely absent in his controlled journey so far.
The roundabout is different from the other desires. A toy is static, a sweet is eaten, a balloon is held.
The roundabout is an experience. It's a moment of shared, dizzying, collective freedom. It's an invitation to lose control temporarily, something deeply appealing to a child who has been forced to maintain so much self-control.
Driven by this overwhelming, immediate pull toward pure, dizzying happiness, he finds a desperate courage that overrides his internalized knowledge of refusal.
He makes his request, framing it politely, hoping the infectious spirit of the fair might finally soften his parents' stance.
I want to go on the roundabout, please. Father, mother.
This is the single-spoken request for something beyond the path and the natural world, the one desire he cannot deny himself.
And then the world stops. The surrounding dizzy laughter becomes muted, distant. The response to this bold request is not the usual red-eyed look or the gentle distraction.
It is absolute zero. There was no reply.
That silence is chilling. It's an absolute void where authority, protection, or even simple presence should be.
The lack of an answer is exponentially worse than any refusal he had previously anticipated. A refusal means they are present.
Silence means they are gone.
He turns to look. They are not ahead. He looks to the sides. They are not there. He spins around, his eyes desperately scanning the swirling crowd. There was no sign of them.
The psychological shift is instantaneous and catastrophic. All the previous emotional complexity, desire, disappointment, self-censorship, self-control, it all just vanishes entirely.
It's replaced by a single, terrifying primal reality.
Yeah.
Abandonment.
A full, deep cry rose within his dry throat. His body reacts before his mind processes the situation, a sudden jerk, as he breaks away from where he stood, running now in real fear.
This is the transition from wanting things to needing survival.
The physical manifestation of panic is overwhelming. Tears roll down his eyes, hot and fierce. His flushed face is convulsed with fear. He is panic-stricken, running hither and thither in all directions, knowing not where to go.
The sound of his panic is a sharp, desperate wail. Mother, father.
Yeah.
The external signs of his good behavior, they decay entirely.
His clothes become muddy, his yellow turban, a sign of neatness, comes untied. His whole outward presentation of organized obedience dissolves under the pressure of existential terror.
After running to and fro in a rage of running, the child stands defeated, exhausted. His cries are suppressed, pushed down into deep, ragged sobs.
He tries to look through his filmy eyes, blurred by tears and panic at the crowd.
And the throngs of people who, moments ago, had symbolized excitement and the potential for joy, now become terrifyingly indifferent.
He perceives them as people who seem to laugh and talk just for the sake of laughing and talking. Their casual joy is this stark contrast to his inner agony. They're oblivious to his personal apocalypse.
He runs again, desperate, this time toward the ultimate point of congestion, a shrine where people are crowding densely. The space is absolutely jammed.
He struggles through, running beneath people's legs, his sob lingering, still calling, "Mother, father."
Near the entrance to the temple, the crowd becomes lethally thick. The physical threat is massive. The men who jostled each other are described with frightening intensity. Heavy men with flashing murderous eyes and hefty shoulders.
The child is now not just lost, he is in mortal physical danger. He's knocked to and fro by their brutal movements.
He is nearly trampled underfoot. This is no longer a search for a ride. This is a fight for bare survival, a struggle against the sheer crushing weight of the indifferent world.
In the face of imminent physical destruction, the terror peaks, resulting in a cry that cuts through the noise of the fair, shrieking at the highest pitch of his voice.
Father, mother.
This piercing sound is the sound of absolute, immediate need. It is this sound that finally draws the attention of a compassionate figure, a man in the surging crowd who stops, stoops with great difficulty, and lifts him up, pulling him out of the whirlpool's deadly center.
This intervention marks the most profound thematic inversion in the entire story. The child has transitioned in a matter of seconds from the complex emotional calculus of material desire
Worrying about being greedy or too old.
to a single desperate existential fight.
The child who worried about the cost of a garland is now fighting for his literal life, facing the raw threat of being crushed physically and emotionally.
The journey from complexity to simplicity is complete, but it's a horrifying simplicity.
The core realization that defines the rest of the story is this. All the previous desires vanish the instant the source of security, his parents, disappears.
Those objects, the sweets, the toys, the joy of the roundabout, were desirable only within the protected, constrained sphere of his family unit.
Once that protective sphere is gone, the market no longer represents promise. It represents menace. The desire for things is instantly, totally replaced by the primal need for belonging and protection.
Security becomes the only valid currency.
This realization fundamentally rearranges Maslow's hierarchy of needs if we can use that concept to explain this deep psychological shift.
Right. Before, the child was operating on the higher levels, seeking love, belonging, and perhaps self-esteem through ownership.
The moment he is lost, he plummets immediately to the very base level. Physiological safety and security.
The toys, the sweets, the balloons, they're all rendered completely worthless in the face of true fear and isolation.
The presence of the parents, even with their stern refusals, gave value to the objects by making them challenges to be overcome. Their absence makes the objects meaningless.
The intervention of the stranger is an act of salvation, but it doesn't resolve the child's profound need. It only gives him a safe space to express the terror that has now consumed him entirely.
The stranger cannot substitute for that essential primal connection.
So the man is kind. He's trying to rationalize and soothe the child. He's performing the essential adult role of restoring order.
He asks the foundational questions. How did you get here, child? Whose baby are you? He's seeking information to solve the practical problem.
But the child can't process the questions. His entire cognitive function is narrowed, fixed on one single, inescapable requirement.
He weeps more bitterly than ever now because the kindness of the stranger only highlights the unbearable lack of his parents.
His desperate refrain is fixed. It is his only truth, his only language. I want my mother. I want my father.
The man, attempting to use logic and distraction, the usual adult tools, systematically offers the child every single item the child had so desperately yearned for just minutes before. The profound irony of this moment is central to the story's lesson.
And his attempts systematically fail because he is trying to fix an existential crisis with material solutions. The contrast between the child's earlier yearning and his current swift and total rejection is the heart of the story's lesson on the true nature of value.
The man starts by returning to the last place the child expressed pure joy. "Will you have a ride on the horse?" he gently asks, approaching the ring of dizzying motion and laughter.
But the memory of the roundabout, which sparked the entire loss, only intensifies his current trauma. The roundabout now symbolizes the moment of abandonment.
Instead of being drawn to the fun, the child's throat literally rips with the force of his anguish. His throat tears into 1,000 shrill sobs, shouting the refrain. I want my mother, I want my father. The very symbol of transient joy is now a source of agony, proof that a temporary thrill is worthless when security is missing.
So the man moves toward the forbidden spectacle and sound, the swaying cobra and the flute. He appeals to the child's raw curiosity. Listen to that nice music, child, he pleads, attempting to redirect the focus outward.
But the child doesn't just ignore the music. He actively rejects it. He shuts his ears with his fingers, physically blocking out the very sound he had crept toward earlier.
He shouts his now double-pitched strain, desperate and piercing.
The earlier curiosity about the coarse music is completely irrelevant. The parents' rules are meaningless now, but so is the music's appeal. Nothing external can penetrate the singular focus of his need.
The man tries the visual distraction next, the purest, most glorious desire, the flying colors that once prompted the overwhelming desire to possess them all.
He persuasively asks about the rainbow-colored balloon.
The earlier desire has entirely evaporated. He actively turns his eyes away from the flying spheres, rejecting the glory of fantasy.
And that's a profound moment. He is repudiating the very imaginative part of himself that yearned for the impossible colors. He doesn't even need to speak, he just sobs.
The silence of his rejection of that visual feast is so powerful. He is choosing the internal misery, the raw expression of need, over the external promise of joy.
I want my mother, I want my father.
The man tries his last two sensory appeals, scent and taste. First, the flower seller. He offers the nice flowers, asking if the child would like a garland.
The very garland the child had self-censored as cheap.
The child turns his nose away from the basket. The memory of the social judgment attached to the flowers is irrelevant, but so is their beauty. Nothing material can penetrate the armor of his grief.
He just reiterates his sob.
And finally, the ultimate temptation. The sweet shop, the counter with the glittering, luxurious architecture of sweets, the burfi that was his absolute favorite and which his father had morally refused him.
The man offers any sweet of the child's choice. What sweets would you like, child?
The final, definitive rejection of material joy. He turns his face away from the sweet shop, away from the glittering favorite treat, and speaks the only words that matter.
I want my mother. I want my father.
The rejection of the burfi, the symbol of his earliest, most fundamental want, closes the loop. It is the final absolute proof that material desires hold absolutely zero worth when weighed against the primal need for human connection and security.
The emotional arc of the story is complete. We began with the tension between desire and restraint, where the child was constantly pulled between wanting a fleeting object and obeying a familial command.
Mastering the complicated rules of disappointment.
But the moment that source of restraint, the parent, is lost, every single object, every fleeting desire, every glittering promise of the fair becomes hollow and repulsive.
The need for the thing is revealed to be transient. The need for connection is revealed to be absolute and primal.
The ultimate lesson is that security is the prerequisite for enjoyment. The joy derived from sweets, balloons, or rides is entirely conditional on the presence of a safe, protected environment provided by belonging.
The final, silent image we're left with is the child turning his face away from the sweet shop where he had previously yearned for burfi. The silence of that rejection is louder than any of the shouting.
In the face of true fear, all the golden toys of the world lose their shine. The profound emotional need for belonging overwhelms all material want, proving that the most valuable possession a child can hold is the secure presence of his parents.